today's agenda. So shortly, I'm going to pass over to Matt Tudge, our Head of Skills Planning, to start today's session. So Matt's going to be providing us with a short presentation on the Department for Education and the LSIP, so our outputs, intent and guidance. Matt's going to run through the history of the DfE guidance for the LSIPs, what has changed as we've progressed throughout the project, guidance and what we are now expected to do in year 3, as well as what we're going to be doing here forward to meet our KPIs. Matt will then hand over to Hannah Ponsford, our LSIP research manager, who'll be talking about our LSIP research. Hannah's going to be discussing what we've covered in stage 1, 2, and what's coming up for year 3 of the LSIP, as well as kind of what we still intend to do. Hannah will then pass over to Lauren Yamandi Holmes, our business engagement lead, who's going to be talking about our West of England LSIP roadmap of tangible actions. Lauren will be presenting on what our roadmap aims to achieve, the Local Skills Improvement Fund, our core roadmap actions, and some examples of roadmap activities that are actually taking place. We'll then have 20 minutes to cover a Q&A with our panel members. The panel is going to be myself, Matt, Hannah, Lauren, and our skills advisor, Barry Tugwood. And as I mentioned, we're going to go through some of your pre-submitted questions there. So the Q&A is an opportunity for you to ask questions about our work and the presentations today. So it's not necessarily the opportunity that we've had before to kind of suggest elements or change anything. So if you want to discuss any of your own work or any suggested changes to the LSIP, we recommend if you book in a one-to-one with one of our team after today's session. And that just means it gives enough time for us to dedicate today to audience questions about kind of our research and everything that we've stated in today's presentation. And then we're hoping to finish at 5 to 3 today. I'll just do a short closing address and run through next steps, and then we should end at 3 o'clock. So to keep on time, I'm going to shut up now and I'm going to hand over to Matt.
The LSIP is a 3-year-long Department for Education funded project looking into research for employers' skills needs and then putting forward priority actions to help regions address those needs, whether that's through the provision itself or through other mechanisms, initiatives and systems required. Next slide. So some of you are going to be quite familiar with this, so forgive me if you've heard this before or you're aware from your own perspectives. But of course, the starting point for the LSIPs was the Skills for Jobs white paper way back in January 2021, when we were all a lot younger and had a lot less grey hair. The subtitle of the part that relates to the LSIP and the Strategic Development Fund and the Local Skills Improvement Fund, etc., was the lifelong learning for opportunity and growth. But the very principle of this paper and the sections that relate to us was giving employers a greater say in the development of skills. This was very much focused on the higher level and technical skills in post-16, so very aligned with FE provision. And it was all about reshaping the way we deliver so that industry can continue to access the skills we need on an ongoing basis, when they need them, in the way they need them, and continue to help people make decisions about what provision will be required going forwards. It quotes the German Chambers of Commerce as a case study about how all this should work. What it doesn't necessarily mention is the kind of statutory membership that Chambers of Commerce have and the duty that is put on employers to engage in the skills system and to be a part of this vital solution to the needs of the future. Next slide, please. Very quickly and roughly through the timescales, we had the white paper way back at the beginning of 2021, and it was followed very shortly afterwards by the Local Skills Improvement Plan Trailblazers. There were 8 of these running. Business West ran one of these across an area called the West of England Plus, which replicated the functional economic market area of the aerospace cluster and looked at aerospace skills needs, including hydrogen and decarbonisation. But it also looked into residential and domiciliary care as a kind of counterpoint, the high technical, high value, the high need, high employment sector on the other side. As the Trailblazers were rounding up, LSIPs went straight into the national rollout, with the first year covering 2022 and 2023. We worked with as many partners as we could through the Trailblazer and through the connections Business West has across the region to identify which sectors we thought we should be focusing on. We're now well into stage 2, probably halfway through stage 2 of the LSIP, and I'll go a little bit into what the stages mean and what the distinctions are going forwards. But I also just want to draw your eyes quickly to the rather large question mark towards the bottom of the corner, which hopefully I will talk about a little bit in a minute. And just a reminder as well, we've now got 2 years of findings out. The first year was fairly comprehensive. The second year, we've got findings updates. So we've taken the format of the first year, updated it, added new employer intelligence, and they're all available freely online to anyone who can benefit from it. Next slide, please. So, and I haven't means tested this yet, so it's going to be quite interesting to see how it goes. But I've tried to divide the 3 years of the national LSIP rollout in a clearly communicable way. The first year, very easy to define. It was all about employers' skills needs. It was the needs year. We're rounding up the second year, and it's very much incorporating more actions. We're still looking at needs, but it's very much focused on how regions can respond to these needs, whether that's through provision, whether that's through support, whether that's through procurement or strategy, or additional requirements and initiatives to help employers and learners and providers all meet to find that sweet spot in the middle where everything works properly together. And then the third year, it's less focused on needs, although they are still in there, and we will be continuing to refine skills needs, but it's very much focused on how the actions we have identified up to this point can have meaningful, measurable impacts on this widest skills system in the region. Next slide, please. I'm going to just mention, this is how we defined the areas of needs and actions in the roadmap, but Lauren is going to talk about this more in depth later. This is just an example. This is the roadmap table taken from the first LSIP report. This is the division. This is where we have identified what we think the activities that employers and stakeholders and providers have told us are needed, and examples of who we think ownership belongs to, what sort of timescales they should work to, and how we will continue to develop and measure these as we go ahead. And that's me handing over to Hannah.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Chloe mentioned, my name is Hannah Ponsford. I am the research manager for the LSIPs here at Business West. I'm just going to give you a very top level overview of the methodology we have used so far, how this has evolved over the course of the LSIP to date, and how we're approaching year 3. So our methodology, starting in the Trailblazer, which we delivered from November 21 to March 22, and running right through to now, our research has been split into primary and secondary research. So the primary data that we've been collecting has been through one-to-one interviews, focus groups, wider skills discussions, and skills clinics. And the secondary data we've been looking at has been labour market intelligence analysis, collaborations with local authorities, just to ensure that we aren't duplicating any work and to share any intelligence where appropriate, and any published reports from trusted sources such as NOMIS. The focus of the primary research methodology has been to speak to as many employers in the region as possible for the chosen sectors, quantifying the data where possible, but prioritising qualitative data and supporting this with quantification from secondary data. As Matt previously mentioned, the region covered in the Trailblazer was referred to as West of England Plus, which covered 9 districts in the west of England and surrounding region, going down south to Yeovil, north up to Gloucestershire, and replicating the functional economic market area of the aerospace cluster and the Institute of Technology Geography as it was at the time. Employer engagement for us was through one-to-ones and small group interviews, focus groups, and task and finish roundtables, looking at the key themes of business growth, workforce development, recruitment, retention and upskilling, technological change and digitalisation, and climate change and sustainability. These activities helped identify the focus sectors for each region and the key foci and themes that would be central to the LSIP going forward. So you can see to the right of that slide, that's just how we broke up the various different themes across the regions. Next slide, please, Jackie. Following the Trailblazer, key sectors for focus in the region were decided in partnership with key stakeholders, as well as some cross-cutting themes. So our focus sectors for the West of England were health and social care and life sciences, construction, advanced manufacturing and engineering, and creative industries. And then the cross-cutting themes were technological change, net zero, and core and transferable skills. In stage one, we spoke with 238 employers, partners and providers, which equated to approximately 420 hours of engagement. And that was through events, interviews and wider skills discussions. The sector-based priority findings were published to FE providers who have a duty to respond through the accountability statements. And we also published a progress report for the region as a whole, which was published in June with a full analysis of stage one. And you can find those documents on our website. Analysis of the primary data collected suggested key themes and topics that required further exploration in stage two. Next slide, please, Jackie. So the deep dive topics we established for each sector, which were touched upon in year one, but we felt required further discussion. These connected with the cross-cutting themes of technological change, net zero, and core and transferable skills. And you can see on those on the slide there, I won't go through them all for you, but those were just a selection of the deep dive topics that we touched upon in year two. In year two, we spoke to 207 employers, partners and providers, which equated to 328 hours of engagement. We also incorporated different methods of engagement in stage two, including co-design events, interviews, focus groups, wider skills discussions, skills clinics, and meet the expert events. The sector-based priority findings updates were published in March of this year. These weren't a deliverable for the project for us, but we felt it was important to help FE providers with their accountability statements, and this also prompted further conversation as they could show us how they are responding to the LSIP findings so far. An updated progress report for the region is due to be published in June with an analysis of the progress made towards the actions outlined in stage one of the LSIP. Next slide, please, Jackie. So year three, or stage two, year two, as it's also known, through the Trailblazer in years 1 and 2, we have gained a fairly good, though not exhaustive, understanding of employers' impressions of the regional and national skills system. So for year three, it's more about moving towards putting this knowledge we've gained into action. We've already started to action some things, for example, working with local authorities to put together relevant training, such as boot camps, hosting skills clinics, which help businesses to understand their skills gaps and signpost to potential solutions, facilitating webinars with local providers and industry experts to shed light on certain sectors, including the creative sector, with the purpose of myth-busting any misconceptions about a career in that industry and showing the scope of roles available. The objectives of year three of the LSIP are to show the impact of the LSIP so far, making information accessible to all parties, and we're doing this from the DFE right through to one-man bands. We're updating resource page on our website so that information is available in multiple formats, including the reports, infographics and videos, and we're also doing further deep dive topics where we feel there is still room for more exploration or clarification, and those will be done through focus groups. So outputs for year three, slightly different. We're going to create an impact dashboard, which will be on our website, hopefully from September 2024. So you can see a real-time kind of exploration of the impact that we've made so far. There will be a further progress report published between March and May 25, depending on when the Department for Education have decided they would like it. We will also be doing skills snapshots, July 24 to August 24, which will have kind of a very top level overview of the findings so far. We're doing sector and topic specific sprints, and that's ongoing at the moment, and we'll go through the summer and into the autumn. We're looking at things including green skills and EDI. And then we'll also be looking at testimonials and case studies, and that will run from now right up until the end of the project, and those will be online in blog form and also through videos as well. And I'm going to hand you over to Lauren.
Thank you, Hannah. So yes, I'm Lauren. I'm the business engagement lead on the project, and I'll be sharing an update on the LSIP roadmap, its impact, as well as touching upon the Local Skills Improvement Fund. Through our activities and wider delivery, the LSIP will support and assist employers, partners and providers by understanding employers' needs through one-to-one discussions, focus groups, skills clinics and workshops, addressing systemic issues and needs and signposting to local provision and support, clear messaging based on evidence, peer recommendation, and a one message, many voices methodology across several partners and stakeholders utilising collaborative action. A key thing to note is that we're not wanting to reinvent the wheel, although we have created a wheel diagram to illustrate the impact of the LSIP, which comes from mapping, amplifying and simplifying existing provision, and collaborating with relevant partners and providers to develop new responses where appropriate support doesn't yet exist. We are continuing to engage with local further education providers and stakeholders so that we can best signpost to businesses what is already being offered in the region. We also now have skills advisors who run clinics both online and in person, and soon workshops to support and advise businesses with their workforce needs. So the LSIP stands for Local Skills Improvement Fund, and is designed to enable further education providers across a geographic area to respond collectively to the priorities found in the local skills improvement plans. So in short, our findings directly shape how this money is going to be invested. The funding covers 2 financial years, so 23 to 2024, and then 2024 to 2025. The LSIP equates to 2.9 million into the region, and the lead is the West of England Institute of Technology. Their priorities are aligned with the sectors such as advanced manufacturing and engineering, construction, creative industries, and health and social care. Some example activities include new physical infrastructure for digital, health and care and engineering, development in mathematical skills for net zero, new courses in cyber and retrofit, competence to excellence such as internship models for teaching staff and staff upskilling in diverse needs. They'll also be increasing employer awareness and engagement through industry relationships for widening participation in technical pathways, tiered digital badging for careers practitioners, and delivery with independent training providers for apprenticeship career awareness for parents. So we want to ensure that the West of England region is fairly represented through our engagements, which means speaking with a variation of representatives from any size business within the region. This will involve engaging those that have interacted with us previously and continuing on the conversation throughout the development of the project, as well as outreach for new businesses. We have a number of roadmap actions as categorised on the slides, and I'll provide some more detail of which if we could move on to the next one. So for each listed roadmap action, I'll go through some example activities. We are running some sub-project sprints that Hannah mentioned, such as the equality, diversity and inclusion, green skills, career pathways, creative industries and the apprenticeship system. This involves the mapping of current provision and collaborating with others, such as the West of England Combined Authority, to help plan and procure training for the future. We are signposting local skills provision and funding for our one-to-one engagements, which is open for new businesses and for current business relationships held. We are sharing blogs and our LSIP success stories, which is a series of video testimonials of how businesses have benefited from engaging with us. For example, we have supported Fable Studios in Bristol by referring them to net zero support and signposted to Bristol Creative Industries. We're supporting them on finding a new office space, and they're involved with our collaborative Impact of Creative Education webinar series, which is in collaboration with Access Creative College. This has been developed in response to how there is still a lack of understanding of creative sector employment and education within the region.
My name is Yas Hagigat and I'm creative producer at Fable Studios, which is a video production company based in the centre of Bristol. I was liaising with the Business West international trade team and they were giving me a great amount of support when it was coming to doing some carnets. It was the first time that I was doing carnets to go and do some filming abroad, and they were so fantastic, and the support they gave me was just brilliant that when they introduced me to the LSIPs, I thought, if this is the great level of service that I'm getting from Business West, then it's a project that I would absolutely love to be involved in. Last year I was involved with the creative industry, The Changing Landscape, which was a really interesting event talking about the skills gap, what we can do to help young talent coming up into the industry and what we as local businesses can do to support. For us as a small organisation, even though we're only a team of 5 and we are very well established in Bristol and we've had our ears to the ground for a number of years, Obviously, the landscape of the creative industry has been very difficult from the pandemic to about 2023. Obviously, lots of businesses have struggled, but the creative industry had really taken a bit of a dive. And I think our involvement with the LSIP, it was really nice to know that we weren't the only ones, and that we felt very supported and validated in everything that we were feeling, and that we were able to give our experience of everything that had happened and share that with everyone else. So the LSIP team have recommended me to speak to their net zero team. That's something that's really important to the creative industry. Sustainability, obviously, all across industry is a hot topic at the moment, but especially for the creative industry, where we're trying to do a little bit more, especially when it comes to things like props, sets, location, travel, things like that. So it's really important and invaluable conversations that were happening at the moment. And I'm also really excited for my involvement with an upcoming webinar series hosted by the LSIP team and Access Creative College, where we can hopefully make some meaningful change for young people coming up in the industry, or who are interested in apprenticeships or T-levels that will help them make waves in the creative industry. I think it's really important to try and make meaningful change, especially for young people coming out through the industry. And it was the connections that LSIP were able to introduce to me, the people that I was able to talk to who could actually action those changes. So I think it's just been incredibly invaluable to be involved with the LSIP. I think it's really important that SMEs can talk to other SMEs, and that all of our experiences in the industry can be validated and also spoken about. It's really nice to be part of this community, and that's definitely what the LSIP has done, is made me feel like we're part of a community. And also that all of our experiences can be making meaningful change and actually actioned by people who can pave the way for a better future, especially for young people who are coming up into the industry. And I just think it's really great, as I said, to be part of this community that can actually make these changes happen.
We're also continuing to run our Meet the Expert events, which will cover common skills needs and gaps identified through our research. We are running an apprenticeship task and finish group that we're co-hosting with Western Training Provider Network for the Combined Authority. In terms of research, we are continuing to look into specific deep dive topics that we feel is important to gain further understanding about the needs faced through qualitative methods of engagement. Our team at Business West are also looking to take on a T-level placement in September, October this year. And as already mentioned, we have released updated progress reports for each sector and region available to read on our webpage, and I think Chloe might have just posted in the chat as well. And finally, we'll continue to engage with post-16 providers to understand what they are currently offering and will be offering, and we will share our business intelligence so they can continue planning for the future. That was not an exhaustive list, but highlights some key areas for us to focus on. Thank you. Next slide.
Thank you very much, Matt, Hannah and Lauren, for your presentations. So as I mentioned at the start, all the slides will be shared post-event, and the recording of the webinar will as well. So everything will be live and accessible for all to have a look at. So probably the most important part of the session is your questions. So as I mentioned at the start, I'm going to first kick off some questions that we had submitted in advance through the Eventbrite registration, and then I will open up the room to everyone else. So the first question we had, I'm going to hand to Matt. So Matt, what happens after the LSIP ends in 2025?
Thanks, Chloe. Now I remember why I mentioned this on my slide and didn't come to it. It's a really interesting question, let's be honest. There's not an awful lot of certainty, and as of yesterday's announcements, I don't think we're going to see any certainty in at least the next couple of months. However, we do know, thanks to the Skills for Jobs white paper, that the principles of LSIP and the independent voice of employers being incorporated into the heart of post-16 skills provision are written into primary and secondary legislation. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere, although it is quite likely to morph into something potentially reasonably different. If you look at how the LSIP has changed over the 3.5 years it's been running so far, if you look at the fact that 38 areas have been given free rein to run LSIPs in the way they think will be most effective for where they go, there is an awful lot of accumulated learning attached to how LSIPs can be most beneficial to the regions they're operating in. So long answer is I don't know, but there's an awful lot that indicates direction of travel. And I really don't think it's going to be top of anyone's list in the potential bonfires of the next election to mix up the principles of LSIPs too far. The short answer, though, is just I don't know.
Thanks, Matt. I feel like this is a question we ask ourselves kind of every day as well in this team. So the next question submitted is, who is helping businesses work out what they need to know? And I think I'll hand to Barry for this one, please.
Oh, thanks, Chloe. Yeah, always a good question, this one. Comes from time to time. I think it's important that, we're fortunate in the West of England, I think. We've got a wealth of help out there. Lots of organisations, even in this room, that offer that sort of support as well. In terms of the LSIP, as you've heard in the earlier presentations, we do lots of business engagement for lots of ways. We've now set up, Fiona and myself have set up skills clinics, which are informal across the regions. The West of England region has had quite a lot of traction in that. So getting lots of varied businesses coming along and having informal skills chats about a variety of things, which is really great. But it's great for us to have at our fingertips sort of that wealth of knowledge throughout the whole Western Training Provider Network, with the information on apprenticeships and levy, and all of the training providers within that group as well. There's the Developing Skills Connect portal, obviously, through the Combined Authority. So there's lots of information out there. The challenge, obviously, is getting the awareness to the businesses. So in our ways, in lots of ways, we're trying to do that, and we're enjoying having those conversations. And we obviously will signpost and talk to our partners to help make that more personal to those businesses and their needs going forward. So always a good question, always a challenge, but yeah, there are people out there that want to talk to us, and we can put that into the whole skills landscape.
Great, thank you very much, Barry. I'm sure some people might want to talk about what they're doing on the call as well, because we've got lots of providers on the call that do lots of brilliant things. Yeah. The next question I have is, I have an idea for the LSIP, so something that will help. What should I do and who should I talk to in the team? I think I will cover this one. So we strongly believe the success of the LSIPs depend on collaboration and communication. And as such, we are absolutely encouraging everyone to get in touch and discuss your ideas and suggestions with us on what you think can help. So if this is something you think should be addressed in our roadmap that Lauren mentioned earlier, please just get in touch with the team. Our email address will be showed at the end of this. It's lsip@businesswest.co.uk, and we'd be happy to kind of book in a chat or discuss on email, whatever suits you to chat further. But there's loads of ways to get involved. I mean, you can kind of get involved by inputting your ideas through a skills clinic with our skills advisors, Barry and Fiona, who are on the call today. In those sessions you talk about your skills needs, but you can also feedback any ideas where you think the LSIP could go further to support businesses like yours. You could attend some of our upcoming workshops, events, focus groups. Or if you're a business, you can sign up to our new one-to-one process, which we're calling our signposting local provision, SLP, which is our year three business engagement one-to-one program. And this kind of acts as a consultation. We were calling it a triage process, but we're trying to move away from that because it sounds very hospitally, where our team of business engagement executives can help you get information, leads, links where you need to begin the process of addressing your skills needs. So there's a variety of different ways to get involved and submit your ideas and ask us questions and input into the LSIP. So if you're unsure where to start, just drop us an email after today and any of us can get involved. I don't know who it was or what your idea was, but yeah, please reach out. And I think that's covered the question, hopefully, but please jump on if you have any other questions. The next question I have, I think I'll give to Lauren. So Lauren, what do employers feel is the best way to work effectively with their local college?
Yeah, so there's been a number of different ways that's been mentioned to us in the engagement team through our discussions. I think it's worth first approaching your local college to say that you would like to work together. After which some businesses may attend school assemblies and inspire young people regarding careers in STEM, or they've had a stand at a school's careers fair. I know there's quite a few businesses that are working with their local college through providing level 3 apprenticeships for students, or T-level placements, which combines classroom study and a 45-day in-industry placement, something that we're also hoping to host later in the year.
Thank you very much, Lauren. And again, I'm sure lots of people on the call have other bits that they want to add to that as well. So the next question I think I will give to Hannah. And I think this is our last pre-submitted question, I believe. So we can go to everyone else after this. So Hannah, the question is, why are you not continuing your research in the last year of the LSIP, which I think you've covered a little bit, but you might want to go into a little bit more.
Of course, yeah, thanks, Chloe. Yeah, as I previously mentioned, over the last 2 years, we've done just shy of 750 hours of engagement with employers, partners, and providers. So this has given us quite a good idea of how the region views the skills system and the skills needs that they currently have. And we've started to see that the actions are starting to happen from providers across the region, and we want to ensure that we are providing the necessary support to these providers, as well as amplifying the work that they're doing. As people have previously mentioned, we don't want to reinvent the wheel, and amplifying the work that has already been done is one of our key messages. We're going to continue engagement, just for a slightly different way, with the Meet the Expert events, the skills clinics, the SLP, and we would still encourage employers to get in touch with us at any point if they did want to discuss any aspects of the LSIP. However, the Department for Education's focus for this stage was to show the value that has been added to the region through the LSIPs, and we think the best way to illustrate this is through action rather than additional research at this stage.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Hopefully that has answered that one. And that is everything that we've had pre-submitted. So I've just had a little look in the chat and there's nothing in there. Ah, perfect. Liam, you've got your hand up. I'm going to go to you, please.
Yeah, hi, Chloe and team. Thanks. I think, from my perspective, LSIP's been extremely valuable in terms of getting that core information of, what industry needs, and to sort of engage those links between certainly FE providers and employers. When we talk about the system and the information that's there, one of the key things, and I think we mentioned this a couple of times at some of the sessions that you've run, is that engagement at that earlier age, the schooling age, in terms of really ingraining that employability skills, but also so that research can be used to utilize that thinking for learners at maybe 12, 13, that carries through into the FE system, and then obviously into the actual employment side of it at a later stage. What's the thinking in terms of widening that, and in terms of head teachers or schools engaging with you to use what you've got there?
Thanks, Liam. I think, yeah, Matt, if I go to you, and then I don't know whether Barry or Fiona might want to add something after, but we'll go to you first and see what you cover.
Yeah, I was going to say you probably come to me first, but I think we could potentially all answer this. Yeah, it's vital, isn't it? We know we need to drive people at an earlier age towards the opportunities and meaningful careers and provision that will provide pathways for continuous development towards the region's needs. So we will be doing activities in this and have started doing some. So Chloe Stockwell could possibly talk about the webinars we're doing at Access Creative College. I'm not sure if Barry or Fiona could talk about the work we're doing with the CEC and careers hubs and what we can do. And there's actually a couple of additional points written into the roadmap, like what can we do to encourage employers to engage at earlier ages and actually get further integrated into careers information, advice and guidance. Because really what our eventual aim in this element is to stop the need for the LSIP team to do this, and for employers to recognize that actually, if they want to ensure they're successful into the future, they should go out and they should get engaged now, because they need to think 1, 3, 5 years ahead, possibly even 10 years ahead if they're really big companies.
Thanks, Matt. I mean, Barry, did you want to come in?
Well, yeah, just the same, really, Chloe and Liam. It's a great point, and it really is the point, isn't it? It's actually making sure that we go linear in both directions to make sure that these messages are implanted at a very young age. And I think probably in coming into our 3rd year, we're now looking at how we do that. So you're quite correct, and I think we're looking at key skills, core skills that need to be implanted. Maybe we'll start to look at that at sort of cohorts around colleges and sixth forms and so on, and that's a place to start, really. And employers have asked for key skills. A lot of the providers have actually said, yes, we need to do something here, and that's a start. And then it sort of goes back into the lower key stage levels, I think. But so it's quite exciting to hope, and who knows what's going to happen over the next 6 months or whatever. But hopefully we can develop that further. So I'll just enhance what Matt says there in that respect.
Perfect.
Thanks, Barry.
Thanks all for that. And as I say, really good work with it all. And we've got a skills conference in conjunction with yourselves, 28th of June, which again is just that platform for, you know, a collaborative effort really in terms of all of the work that's been happening. So thank you for supporting that as well.
Yeah, we can't wait, Liam. It was so good last year. We're really looking forward to this year's too.
Thanks, Liam. And I will get a link to the SGS and Business West conference as well in the chat.
That wasn't a shameless plug, by the way. Thank you.
No worries at all. And a quick note, because Matt and Lauren have both mentioned now the Access Creative College webinar series. So this was really great. We had one of our co-design sessions at the NCC earlier this year, and I was sitting on the creative industries table, and we were talking a lot about early intervention, and we were talking about the fact that so many young people and parents don't even know the breadth of careers that exist within creative and all the jobs that kind of go into kind of a film production or a TV production or, you know, design work, everything. And John DeMail from Access Creative College came to us with this proposal for a webinar series that he wanted to run on a couple of themes that we talked about, and we have helped him kind of turn that to life. So we ran one session a couple of weeks ago, which is really good. So it's all aimed at young people and their parents and caregivers, but also those who are lifelong learners and workers who are potentially looking at a career change and kind of talking about the creative employment and education opportunities. So I put a link to that in the chat as well, but just encourage, if anybody else has any other ideas like that, these are the things that we want to help bring to life. So if you have an idea and you think we can help you, just get in touch, and we really enjoy doing things like that. Thank you very much, Liam. Any other questions? I can't see any other hands up. I mean, this is always a great sign that we've covered so much in our presentation that there's no questions. So this is a thumbs up for me. Okay, excellent. Well, it looks like we might have covered everything. I don't know, Matt, do you think there's anything else potentially we haven't covered today that you think might be useful from anything that's come up with Department for Education recently?
I've got one point which was following up for one of the pre-submitted questions, and I can't remember whose it was, I'm afraid. It was about working with us. And I just wanted to try and reinforce, you know, we've had a lot of approaches and we've actually been really able to respond to most people's needs and most people's suggestions. We are flexible, we are creative, and we're easily the largest LSIP team in the country by merit of having 3 LSIPs, if not anything else. So any ideas you have, when you look at the widest possible skill system that you think will improve employers' understanding, access, integration, whatever it might be, please do get in touch, because I don't doubt that we will have the capacity and intent to do some of it. And if it's aligned with something that's already written into the roadmap table, and you go, oh, actually, I think this could really help solve this need, then yeah, please do get in touch. We can resource, we can support, we can share, we can target employer audiences. So please do get in touch.
Thank you very much, Matt. And I think then I might just summarize early on. If anybody had any other questions that they think of later, please do just feel free to get in touch, and we're happy to answer via email. Brilliant. Okay, next slide, please, Jackie. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's session and for the pre-submitted questions. Yeah, if you had any more questions, please do follow up after. I'm happy to kind of collate an FAQ sheet of things that people have to ask and then put that together for everyone in the follow-up emails. Thank you to today's speakers and panel members for kind of answering all the questions today. And we just really hope that this webinar has been useful to everyone who's attended today. We just really wanted to give an update of the current status of our work and our future intent. So hopefully we've done that. So what's next and how to get involved? So there's a variety of ways you can continue to get involved with the West of England LSIP. So you can get in touch if you have any questions, as I mentioned. And in a minute, a slide's going to come up with our contact details that I'll go to, and you can have that there. You can let us know if you have any activities in mind for year 3. We'd love to hear from you. And this project only works if we're collaborating and amplifying what's already happening in the region, as Matt just said. You can read our progress report, so keep your eyes peeled for that. That should be released in the next kind of couple of months. It should be ready by the end of next month. And then once you've read the progress report and you've looked at all of our roadmap of actions, talk to us about assigning yourself actions, or get in touch if you feel that you can contribute to some of the actions, or maybe you've been assigned something but you need some support in starting it. Please do have a look, have a read, and get in touch, and we'll be happy to chat through anything with you. As Hannah mentioned, we're going to be creating an impact dashboard. So we're going to be releasing this later this year, and this will highlight kind of all the wins we've had for the region, and working on the LSIP in collaboration with many partners like you on the call today. So have a look out for that when it appears. And then, of course, please continue to encourage businesses to keep getting involved with the LSIP. They can join a skills clinic, they can attend an upcoming workshop, event, focus group, or sign up to our SLP one-to-ones. Our events and one-to-one program will be released, hopefully in a couple of months' time, so keep an eye out on our Eventbrite website for that. Next slide, please, Jackie. Oh, lovely. It's already on the contact details. Brilliant. So here's our contact details. As I mentioned, we'll be sharing these in the slides post-event as well. One thing to flag, we've got a new email address for the skills advisors. So if you want to contact Barry and Fiona directly, you can do at skills@businesswest.co.uk. But for all other inquiries, just get in touch with our lsip@businesswest.co.uk. And next slide, I think I will close and end on this one. So just, yeah, thank you all for attending today, and hope to speak to you all very soon.